Hello and welcome to episode 2. In this episode I'll be showing you how to actually start building your model, and we're going to be just making the floor, and so let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is get an area set up to work. Now I recommend when you start you pick a place like your basement or your garage. Reason being, because those probably have cement floors. When I built this house, I started it in the basement. I built the whole floor in the basement because we have cement floors, and I was able to make the foundation on a nice flat floor. The difference today with this house is our house is only 12 by 6, and this tile is 16 by 16. And so we're able to fit the whole house on this tile, and it's all going to be nice and flat and everything. Another thing you're going to want to be able to do is write on whatever surface you're using. And so, see, I can draw on that. So you're going to be making a lot of marks on it. And so really what you're going to do first is look at your plans. And really just draw it on there. We're only going to be drawing first just the outside of it. So you're going to do that. And you're going to start with your first line. Let's make sure that's 12 inches. Yep. So really all you need to do for the first line is just kind of draw it. Put a mark. Make sure that it's nice and defined where it starts. And then draw a line. And then make sure it's nice and defined where it ends. Alright? Now, we need to make a right angle. And so, I've got a CD case here. When I was in the basement making this floor for that house, I actually used these tiles, because they're left over from our house. I used these tiles, and that's how I made the right angles. Now, I'm going to use this here and just kind of continue that line down, and we're going to make sure that that lines up nicely on the top and continue that one down. Alright, and we're going to, now this would be a good time to use the ruler rather than a yardstick. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. Make sure it's on 6 inches. Line it up nice. And continue our line down until we reach the end. And then we're going to do the same thing here. Alright, now, if we did our job right, from here to here it should be 12 inches. So, that is right on the line. So let me just draw that line. And there we are. Can you see that? That's the foundation for our house. And so we are going to get started on building it. And so we've got our box of sticks. We're going to run out pretty soon though. And so what I like to do is just take a handful and put them there. And now when you get each stick, you're going to want to look at it just like this, kind of point it straight at you and aim it down a little bit, and then close one eye, and you should be able to see straight down the side of it, and you'll be able to tell if there's any imperfections in it. Now I can tell that one there has a bit of a curve, but if we just looked at it like this, it would look fine. And so we're not going to use that one, so I'm going to make a pile there of ones that we're not going to use. And so I'm going to look at each one like that. That one looks good. So I'm going to take my cutters. These are called anvil cutters. You could use really anything that cuts as long as it's, you know, comfortable for you. And just cut that end off so it's nice and flat. We're going to try to make it as straight there as possible. And I'm going to cut it here as well. We don't want round edges, especially when we are building the foundation. And so I'm just going to go around the foundation and cut all of the long ones. We're not going to do any gluing it, we're just going to be cutting these so that we have sticks when it's time to start gluing. Alright, welcome back, and as you can see I have all my pieces cut and they're just sitting here kind of. I left round edges on these ones because I'll cut them later. And then all these little pieces, for every joint that you have, you know, for every place where sticks meet, you're going to need a stick about this long to kind of join them together. That's how they're going to stick together. And also in the corners, we're going to put diagonal ones to form a triangle, and that's going to kind of keep that a right angle. And so I'm going to kind of clear my area here, and I'm going to move these down and get these out of the way. And this line is perfectly straight, and so I can just glue these right there where they need to go, and the line should be pretty much straight. But I'm not perfect here, and it may look straight, but it might not be straight. So to make sure that it's straight, our actual wall is straight, we are going to glue down the yardstick and build the floor up against the yardstick, at least that wall. And then once the glue is dry and these are all glued together, we could take the yardstick away and should be good. It should be nice and straight. And so that's drying. Again, you're going to want to make sure that you can glue onto the floor that you're using, so don't use like a super nice floor to build this on. And so we have our first piece here, and I'm going to stand that up there. Make sure it's standing on its side. It's not going to be flat like this. It's got to be standing on its side, and try to make sure that this is as straight and as neat as possible. And so I'm going to go ahead and put this here, and as you'll notice, it's not standing up for me, so I'm just going to put the eraser there to keep it from falling over. And then we're going to need to glue this piece down in two different places. So this is being annoying. So like right there and right there. Now when you glue this down, don't glue it too close to the edge, either edge, especially this edge. And that's because this piece is going to go right here, and it's going to attach this piece to this piece. And so you don't want to have glue in the way. Alright? And yeah. So once that's dry, actually doesn't even need to be dry because we're not even doing anything with it. We're going to go ahead and move on to this piece. And that one is cooperating and it's standing up for me, so I don't need to hold it with anything. So again, we're going to glue it down. Alright, now what I did was just glued all those down so everything's in place, but they're not glued together, they're just glued to the floor. And so we're going to attach them. Now when we attach them, make sure you attach them on the inside of the floor. Make sure there's no glue and no extra pieces on the outside. Alright, maybe to like glue your floor down like I did here, but on the outside there should be no glue, because the floor, this is going to be lined up the floor and there's going to be a wall on top of here, and so the siding should go from the wall down over this, and it should be nice and smooth. And so now we're going to just take these pieces and make sure there's no glue in the way or anything, and go ahead and put lots of glue, well not too much, but a good amount of glue on a piece, and stick it to it like that. And now these are glued together, and then you're going to do that again right here, and you're going to go around the whole house doing that. So we're going to put a piece here, and we're just going to glue that in place. Okay. So I'll put that there, and put some extra glue there. So now this is going to make that corner stay how it is. Alright, so I went ahead and I did that. As you can see, there's nothing on the outside. It's nice and flat. And on the inside I have my corner pieces and these ones. So now everything is attached. It's all one piece, but we're still going to leave it glued to the ground. Don't take it off yet. So what we're going to do now is we're going to be putting these supports, okay, that the actual floor is going to go on. Now I'm going to do supports every inch. Alright, so they're going to go this direction, and the actual sticks on the floor are going to go perpendicular, so they're going to go this direction. So I'm just going to put my yardstick here and put a mark on every inch. I'm going to try to explain this as best as possible, alright? Just try to understand here, because it's not easy to explain. Now this is how I do my floors, okay? We need to put supports here. Sticks standing up on their sides just like this, okay? And they need to cover the entire area in here. And they all need to be going one direction, okay? However, the sticks aren't long enough to reach across in either direction. Now, if this was in real life, what you would do is just order a longer piece of wood, because you're able to do that. But we aren't. These are 4.5 inches long, and that's how long they are. We can't make them any longer. And so, what do we do? Well, we could make longer sticks by taking one, taking another, putting some glue here, gluing them together so they overlap a little bit, and voila, you have a longer stick. And look at that, that fits all the way across. But that would be a pain to do if we were to do that for every single one, doing that 11 times. Alright, so another thing you can do to make it easier is make one really long stick. So, and I have a video on how to do this. I'll put a link right here, so go ahead and click it if you're confused. But you can make one really long stick, okay? Pretend that this is glued together, and it would reach all the way across, and you would glue it in place just like that, alright? So it will be glued, here and here. And then you would do a bunch of sticks going here, and a bunch of sticks going here. So you would put 11 sticks and 11 sticks. And then they would all be going in this direction, except for the middle piece, but that's fine. They would all be going in that direction, and then you're good. Alright? But I'm not going to do that, because that would be more work than if I just made 11 double sticks and just did it. So I'm going to make a bunch of double sticks, just like that, and then I'll cut them to fit in here. So that's how I'm going to do that. Alright, so I did that. I went and made a bunch of double sticks, and they're nice and straight if you look at them down the side like that. And you can make triple ones, quadruple ones, whatever you want. Now, I just want to point out, if you didn't watch the video on how to do these, I would suggest you do if you're going to do it. But when you make these double sticks, make sure you press them flat on the ground like this when you glue them, and then flip them over before the glue is dry and just press down, because it needs to be straight here. Don't just take them and glue them together like I said. Then they're not going to be straight. I also want to point out that I got 2 subscribers while making this video so far, so thank you. My phone just beeped twice. And so now what we're going to do is just glue these in place, really. Not much to show you here. I'll show you me doing the first couple, and then I'll cut to the next part. So make sure you get a good amount of glue in there, because this is the foundation. Try not to get too much glue on your actual floor, because then it's going to be impossible to peel this off when we're done. And actually after this step we're going to be able to take the house off we're going to be able to, take it off, like unglue it from the ground. So I'm going to put this here, put a mark. Now one thing you're going to want to be careful with here is I just cut this to what I think it should be. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it in there and it fits perfectly, but it kind of pushes out a little bit actually on because it's a little bit not cut right. And so when you cut these pieces, you're going to want them to be a little bit smaller than what they should be. Like that fits perfectly, it's not falling over or anything. But really you don't want to have the piece like being really tight, because, and I keep burping, oh my god, and the problem with that is if this piece was really tight and I put it in place, it would be pushing the wall out, and so you would have a not straight wall, and you want that wall to be straight. Alright, well I finished doing that, and so we'll have all of our joists here. Now if you want, you could take the house off, and so be very gentle, and I would not do it all at once, I would do it one glue dot at a time. So just kind of peel up the corner here, and that's not really coming off, so I'll start at this corner. Okay, lift very carefully. And here's our floor, and if I look down the edges, oh man, those are nice and straight. And I have some glue here on the side I'm going to take off, but overall that's the floor. Now be careful with it because it's still not like flat, it's still bends, it's very fragile, but I'm going to clean that off. Now we're going to put this back down, but now we're able to move it, which is nice. Now we're going to do the next step. This is the most boring part, and it takes the longest. And what it is again, making sure your sticks are nice and straight. We're going to be actually putting the floor part on, and so I would make sure, now this is up to you, but I would make sure that you cut the ends of the sticks flat. When some people do this, they like to leave the ends of the sticks rounded, and it doesn't look very nice. So, I mean, it's up to you. If you don't want to cut every single stick, that's fine, but it doesn't look as nice. And so, as long as each of these were nice and flat, and you did a good job with everything else, your floor should be nice and flat. And so make sure you put a good amount of glue, okay, just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and put this piece down. Make sure you press it and make sure it's not overlapping the sides really. Okay, that looks good to me. And I don't think I can use, nope, can't use that. Here's another straight one. Try to keep these seams nice and straight. But yeah, really, so just go across like this, and I'll show you something else in a second. When you glue them, make sure you put glue on each piece, and make sure you put a good amount, and then it doesn't fall off the side here. It doesn't just like roll off. And when I put this piece down, I'm going to not only push it straight down, but I'm going to pull it towards me, pull it towards the other stick, so that there's not like a gap in between them. And make sure it's pressed down, and that looks pretty good to me. And so you're just going to do that for the entire house, basically. So, alright, so finished building the floor. This is it. Okay. Now it's nice and sturdy. If we put it back on here, it should fit. Everything should line up. There's the bottom of it. Now one thing I want to point out. Okay, so see these supports here? If this house was heavy, which it's not, and we were to have this on a carpet floor, so pretend my hand is the floor, and it's nice and flat on the carpet, and you go to slide it, the carpet's going to grip it, and it's going to pull these to the side and just rip them right off. And so, you know, if I were to put this on the floor and put a lot of weight on it and just slide it, it would just rip these all right off. And so, this is optional, but if you want to, you can glue sticks around the house, you know, same direction as the other ones on the bottom there. Put them around the outside, and then maybe put a few through the middle. So put them like that, and just glue them on there, and that should prevent these from getting ripped off, similar to what I did underneath that house, if you can see that. Thing's heavy. But yeah, so there's the floor, and in the next episode we will be starting the walls. So stay tuned for that.